Hello and welcome to this episode of Microchips, and on the bench today we have a Cobra 148 GTL-DX, or is it a Superstar 360 FM? I think it's a Superstar 360, but you know, they're both the same inside, PB010 board, just a different plate on the front, but people seem to like to want to put Cobra plates on. But before we start, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join Facebook, join Patreon, buy me a coffee, have a look at my website, microchips.net. And now, a word about today's video sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is a China Shenzhen-based PCB manufacturer and printed circuit board assembler with more than a decade in the field of PCB prototype and fabrication. They offer a wide range of services including 3D printing, flexible PCBs, CNC machining and much more. PCBWay also offer a prototype PCB assembly service with component sourcing and online quote. PCBWay is committed to meeting all of your PCB needs. They offer quality, on-time delivery and competitive pricing. 1 to 2 layer boards start for as little as $5 with 24-hour turnaround. Get an instant quote today by visiting PCBWay.com or click on the link below to check them out. As always, thank you PCBWay for sponsoring the Microchips channel. It's always very kind of you. Anyway, let's fire up this Cobra. So the customer has complained that the S meter is very dim, and sure enough, there's not a lot of light coming out of there. Suspect there's an LED in there. So we'll do something about that. So having a quick look at the bands, looks like we've got 4 bands on there already. And a nice healthy power output, which seems to be moderately level across the bands. No variable power mod on the SWR Cal, which is absolutely fine. Just try SSB and we're getting a nice swing on SSB. So radio seems to be working quite okay on transmit, at least. I've just got it in the FM modulation setting. I'm only whistling into it. It does seem a bit high. Now we'll get this out of the way with everybody's favourite part, you know, the all-important SINAD readings. And this is receiving as to be expected. It's a little bit deaf on channel 1 low band. Which is not a problem. You probably wouldn't notice it anyway, considering there's very little happening on there. So let's move up to channel 40 UK, and yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's hearing down to minus 110 dB, which is absolutely fine. Getting a nice S9 on the meter. No need to go any further with that. So let's have a look inside. So there's our UK 40 board, a nice EEPROM. The AM carrier's cranked up as to be expected. I can see the FM deviation's been cranked up as well. Here we go, AM power's been cranked up. What have we got for the 2SA 1012? We've got a tip 42. So at least somebody's actually replaced that. Looking at the output side, everything looks just fine. Anybody recognises this board, let me know. It's not too bad of a board. It looks like it controls all the bands. So looking underneath, and there's our sliced track, but it looks like they've completely gone away with the binary adders on this and let the EEPROM control everything, which is absolutely fine. Still got a big sliced track, but hey ho, what can you do? But that's not what this radio's here for. That part is working okay, so there's no need to change that at all. So normally I don't do this on radios because it's not necessary really, but the customer has asked for a complete overhaul on this radio, and we're going to give it a full recap. And once we've recapped it, we're going to test a few of the capacitors to see whether they are actually out of tolerance or whether they would have still been okay in the radio. Now obviously those 10 volt ones, they can go short at a moment's notice, so I mean there is cause to change some of those, but is it worthwhile blanket changing every single capacitor in there? Well, we'll see. So out with the tip 42, out with its the stage before it, should we say, and out with this 150 ohm resistor, which we will be replacing. So let's start recapping. So I've got a few capacitors already out from my stock by using the service manual. We managed to find most of the values, and it's those 10 volt capacitors that can cause us all sorts of hassle. So we've got a nice mixture of Rubicon and Worth electric capacitors to go in there. And basically this is just take a capacitor out and replace it, and go across the whole board and just replace everything you can see that's in grey, which is a tedious job. As you can see, I've already unsoldered a few of these, and what we'll do is we'll just pluck them out one by one, find its corresponding value, and put it back in, and then rinse and repeat. Oh, the joy. And once we've got a few actually in place, we'll solder them up, double check our work, make sure that everything is correct. Don't want to leave too many unsoldered or dangling, because knowing my luck they'd all drop out anyway. So we'll just solder around the main regulator area, get some of those caps soldered up. And now the ones near the audio amp. Just like so. Once we've soldered a few in, will then go along with our little sharp nippers, and we will take off the excess legs. You have noticed I've not put the regulator in yet, which I will do very soon. Just wanted to get the capacitors out of the way that are in that area. No point struggling when you don't have to. And there's that FM deviation pot, absolutely cranked over. So we've done quite a lot of the caps up to now, but there's still a lot more to go. But we're going to do this regulator, obviously because the pin spacings are different. We like to give them a nice bend. And once we've attached it to the metal heatsink with a new conductive washer sheet, we will solder it into place along with its driver part and the new resistor. Yeah, this resistor is replaced because it can cause low SSB. So out of good measure, it is replaced along with higher current counterparts for the main regulator. Just like so. And there we have it. Nicely installed, everything in place. Very nice. Let's carry on with the recapping. So anybody recognises this board? It seems to have, I think what it says, I think it says Merlin on the board. Never seen one of those myself, but looks okay. So what we're doing is I've replaced all the caps, and I'm just using the thermal imaging on initial switch on, just to see whether anything's getting hot that shouldn't be getting hot. And the first thing that starts glowing is the regulator for the EEPROM board, and then the main regulator, the 8-volt regulator on the side, but nothing else seems to be getting warm. So I'm pretty confident that any of the capacitors that we've put in are not immediately going to overheat and explode because of reverse polarity installation. So yeah, there's no abnormal hot spots. So everything's good. Got this area down here that always seems to warm up on these, but that's nothing unusual. Okay, happy with that. We can move along and carry on with the radio. Okay, if we put the radio into FM transmit, and we can watch that main regulator get very hot very quickly. tell you, that thing really does start cooking. But it's on a heatsink, so, you know, as long as you're not being a complete muppet and sitting on 19 for hours, then you'll be fine. So there's our recap job. All nice new capacitors in there. Well, those grey ones at least. So, happy with that. We just need to test the radio to make sure that everything is still working. So we're just having a look at some of the capacitors that were taken out. And that 1000 mic is low, but it's not that bad. And that 1000 mic, that's reading okay, and the ESR's kind of okay. So what we'll do is we'll just measure a few more. So there, we've got a 4.7, and that's reading 7, so that's a little bit out of spec. 100 mic reading 88 mic, yeah, that's a little bit out of spec. 79 mic for the 100 mic there, yeah. So, is it worthwhile recapping it? Well, obviously some of the capacitors have moved. You know, some of the values have changed, so I suppose it's up to personal preference if you want to pay the technician who's doing the job for you. Because it's not a quick job. And yeah. Anyway, on to the other problems with the radio. The S meter and the S meter bulb, or should we say LED. And yeah, looks like an LED, and they've left a few miles of cable on there, so that's very kind. So let's try and get this LED out and have a look. And yep, so they've fed it off the resisted supply that goes to the bulb anyway, and it's probably a 12 volt LED running off 8 or 9 volts. That's why it was a little bit dim. So there we've fitted a grain of wheat bulb, popped it in its original plastic holder, a little bit of heat shrink over the wires, and let's have a look. Yep, it's bright enough. Once it's inside the radio, that'll look just nice. Yeah, it's good as new. Okay, let's do some alignment. So as per the service manual, the Uniden export, we start off with channel 19, scope on TP4, adjust L17 for maximum, which we have done. And now we need to move to channel 40. We've got our DC voltmeter on the top of R126. We're just adjusting the VCO voltage. And now we're on TP3, adjusting L19. They really didn't need much movement. First off, we're going to adjust L21 for 16.490 megahertz, or as close to as we can with these very twitchy cans. And then we need to adjust L22 for 16.4925 for USB. And finally, we need to adjust L23 for 16.4875, which will be the LSB. Now the carrier offsets, so frequency counter to TP6, and firstly we adjust L38 for 106925, and once we've done that we switch to LSB and adjust for 106975, and finally AMTX mode we adjust L37 for 28.185 megahertz. Now let's do our RF bias. So we've took out the test plate and we'll put our meter in amps or milliamps, SSB, no audio, and we should have around 50 milliamps on the pre, and we adjust the one for the final, and this pot is twitchy as anything, as it normally is. So what we'll do is we'll give it a quick blast with some contact cleaner. And just give it a little bit of working, see if we can't take out the twitchiness of that pot, and we'll do the pre-drive as well with a bit of contact cleaner, and we will go back and we will reset the pre. So around about 50 milliamps for there. Lovely, will do just nicely. We'll move the clip along, and we need to set this one for 50 milliamps as well. The other way of doing it is measuring the voltage on the base and making sure you've got 0.7 of a volt on the base, and that should be okay. Now, carrier balance, so we need to make sure that this is as low as possible, which I think it already is. It's showing a bit noisy on there, but that's absolutely fine. Yep, just need to make sure that's nulled out, which it is. Now let's check the transmit power across the bands. So it wasn't too bad, if I remember. Low band was a little bit low. But what we can do is we can just spread that just a little bit more, just by gently altering these, and that should give us a bit better of a spread of power, which it has done. Yeah, lovely. So happy with that. Just having a look at the AM power, we'll set that to about 6 watts. We'll be generous with this one, even though it should be set to 4. Quick whistle on SSB, very nice. So we've got our function generator outputting 3 kilohertz. We've got it injected into the microphone. And we're just having a look at this FM deviation. So as you can see, as we alter the FM deviation, it changes on the meter. So I think round about 2 kilohertz should be fine. That's where I normally set them anyway. Now to the all-important cyanide readings yet again, because you know you can't have too many cyanide readings. So we'll just have a look, make sure that all the work we have done hasn't upset the receiver. From the tests at the start, I was quite happy with the performance of the receiver, and I don't think there's any need to adjust it any further, as it is receiving down to a nice level. And to finish off the job, some nice new stainless steel screws. Bit of a wipe with some foam cleaner, because you know, presentation. Get rid of all those greasy finger marks I've put on the front. Yeah, very nice. And there we have it. This Cobra 148 GTL-DX, or should we say it's a Superstar 360 FM. Either way, doesn't matter. Still got exactly the same board inside it. And yeah, I'm very happy with the way this has turned out. There was a little bit of a lift today, and there was a few European stations coming in. So, very nice. We'll give it a test, and all being well, we'll get it back off to the customer. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join Facebook, join Patreon, buy me a coffee, have a look at my website, microchips.net. A big thank you to PCBWay, as always, for sponsoring the Microchips channel. It is very much appreciated. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.